So the first part of my presentation is related to the brief description of the research infrastructure, brief introduction of the infrastructure, and what I mean by that eLTER research infrastructure is that it's often more than and consider it a bit more than a portal. We are not developing a simple portal, but the goal of eLTER is to provide not only data providers but also data researchers with something more, something like coherent infrastructure that provides some services for providers, some services for researchers, and makes and supports the community as a whole with the research opportunities and data analysis that can lead to some new understanding. By the mean of I would say coherent and the how we think about this infrastructure, that it's something that is modular in terms of it's extendable, it's scalable. It means that not only in terms of the amount of data, but also in terms of number of services and users, it can scale in time because we are not developing neither portal or research infrastructure that is for short term, but we obviously expect to support the community for long term. Obviously automated because yeah, many things are and regarding the data itself, the processes inside the infrastructure are quite complex, and as far as we can go with automation is fine. The very important point here is that we want to have the infrastructure user-friendly and also user-friendly for you, meaning that you want to provide the data there, not that you are forced to, but really you want to, because it provides you some benefits in terms of data analysis, for example, and so on, and to hide all the unnecessary details. Obviously, we are on some way, because as I will later also mention, this is still process under development, because the projects are going to finish at 26 in January. But this is our important view and important point here, and also important to give a feedback from you, so that we get the idea how to make it as comfortable for you as possible. And obviously fair regarding the FAIR principle, findable, accessible, interoperable, and regarding the architecture itself, this is just a brief picture. I don't want to go through each component by each component. I just want to share the idea and the thing that this is a set of services, set of components that forms the infrastructure in terms of the services that we want to provide to. So if we consider you as data providers, what services we expect and want to provide you, meaning that at first, yeah, is it some thing. Obviously, the most important thing is so that you are able to provide data, to ingest data, and to have various ways of how you can provide your data to the infrastructure, so that either web formulas, some API services, or taking data from your sites, because we know and that you don't want to do the same things many times, and you need to store your data somewhere, so that it could be of thinking and discussion whether the data cannot be taken from there, or some automation here. This is something that we want to go to the discussions, how we can make it as straightforward as possible. The other thing is that if we accept and get some data, meaning the eLTER research infrastructure, eLTER has some standards on the quality of the data. Not only the metadata, but also the quality of the data. We have implemented and prepared the infrastructure to provide quality checking mechanisms, currently even checking just the basic metadata and providing basic metadata checks, but for the future it can extend so that the infrastructure goes through the data and tries to approve whether and you are informed if something goes wrong with your data, that you are informed that there are some problems, and you have to solve. And obviously, it's not about just checking, but for the future, we also would like to support you on-prem at your sites with this quality checking mechanism, so you can check your data even on your site before uploading to the eLTER infrastructure. Once we get data, obviously we need to describe them. So registry services are also, this is something that is important both for you as data providers and for data users, meaning the researchers. Currently, we focus just on data sets that we aim to get from you, but and in fact, as you will see later, the component is called Digital Asset Registry, meaning that all the digital assets that are worth of registering should be registered there. For the future, provide unique identifiers for the data sets and also be able to harvest information and data sets from external sites. And last but not least, for you as data providers, we assume that the thing regarding that you know what's going on with your data sets, who is using them, how many times has used them, and so on, so that you are informed about the audit of your data and I would say data provenance mechanisms, what data have been derived from your data and so on, so that this is something that we consider and have in mind, meaning that we want to make you sure that you know what's going on with your data in eLTER, and so that you are not afraid of providing your data to eLTER and really want to do it. There's part of the infrastructure component or service called the Digital Asset Register, implemented and as part of the Data Ingest component, where you have currently a basic control and in the future have a full control over your data sets, over the results of the quality checking and so on, and that for the future will serve also as your main front end, where you see not only your data sets, where you can provide new ones, where you can see the usage and so on and so on. Just to give you a brief idea what's happening inside the infrastructure, so that and I will try to get a pointer here. Yeah, so hopefully it takes the focus here. Sorry. Yes. So if we have a data set here, you provide it via, for example, the data ingest form from DAR, but on the other hand, for the close future, you would have the push possibility so that you can interconnect your infrastructure directly. And later, you will also have some pull mechanisms, meaning that we can ask for the data some external site. So if we have data set, there are some internal things regarding the internal services, but the first important thing is that we store the data set on some geographically separated storage, so that we have some quite significant backups of your data. Once this is done, your data are checked over the quality checking mechanisms, currently very basic metadata checks, but for the future, more complex checks that are assumed here, And here you can expect a set of checks, quality checking mechanisms that can, for example, understand your data, that can, for example, look for historical data of your site and check them. And once the checks are approved, then the dataset is registered and later on, for example, provided via some service. And that's the brief idea what's happening inside the infrastructure, so that we are storing the data in geographically separated backups, checking the currently metadata, but later on also some more complex processing over the data themselves, and registering the data once everything is passed and everything is approved. And then once the data are registered, you either as a data provider or as a data researcher and data analyst, you can use those data, not only your, but obviously the others as well, to access, to analyze, and so on and so on. So that here we are in the part of what we expect for the data users, data analysts, researchers, and so on. The part of the research, alter research infrastructures are data labs, meaning that you can analyze your data, you can see what's happening there, and so on. We will have and are developing a set of services, for example, for spatial data backed up by GeoServer, some time series data, and so on, data visualization, and so on and so on. And to make you informed what's in the alternate infrastructure, we have decided and we have prepared a so-called service portal. You can call it also as a marketplace, so that a service portal which lists all the services and other tools that eLTER currently has and that will evolve in time during the eLTER development. And also there are some vocabularies and ontologies to support the international community and cooperation. Briefly regarding the data labs, here we expect to provide you with a set of images, so that set of analytical images that you can use for your analysis of the data, but also, for example, for checking the quality of your data, so that before you register them, for example, somewhere, or you have to prepare your data set or something like that, so that this is some, I would say, playground for working with your data. There are also some other tools that already either partially or fully integrated into the infrastructure. Obviously, you know, things SDR, so that this is a registry about the sites of eLTER, data integrated visualization, a view on the data sets, vocabularies, what we have mentioned, the Cosmos-based list of vocabularies and so on that you will use also during the data ingest process. And last but not least, this is the view on the service portal, meaning that this is the thing where we want to support the community to understand. This is something that is more, that complements the eLTER's webpage by a list of services and a list of tools that are available inside eLTER, so that you can be informed. You can see not only what's there, but also you can see some details about the services, to have some get some manuals, to also help each other, for example, regarding the forums, fora, or to contact the help desk of the particular service. So this is in fact something that we want to support you as a community with things that you want to, so that you are oriented, you know what's happening there, and you know how use the services and what to do there. So that the idea behind the infrastructure is that we are creating the I would say the basic of the infrastructure that we want to make as much convenient for you as data providers as possible. and also as much convenient and powerful for the data users, so that they can analyze data as they want, and have the opportunities there, so that they can analyze the data sets. And last but not least, this is something that we can, for the future, we can also support the communities with eLTER-like deployments of this infrastructure on the national basis. This is something that one can later think, based on how we develop this. One can later think about, for example, providing national copies of the eLTER, so that these are interoperable with the eLTER centralized infrastructure. And so that this is a brief overview on what eLTER is going to provide to you, to the community, and to the data providers. And now I'd like to focus a bit on how you ingest your data sets into eLTER-RI. And you will face quite a lot of time an acronym called eLTER-DAR. It means this is the what I've already mentioned, the eLTER Digital Asset Registry. As you will later see and have the slides here, so I have mentioned here the three most important links currently deployed, even though there are some others, but for the data providing thing, these are the most important. And in fact, I would say that the first one is the most important, because all the other services from eLTER are linked from the service portal. So that this is the service portal, as I've mentioned, then the Digital Asset Registry, which we will go through a bit during the rest of my talk, and a service that supports your identity and your user profile in eLTER. And again, we are still under development, even though we have deployed those services on, I would say, semi-productional way, but so that we are quite sure that they are working and they are providing the service. But on the other hand, they will evolve in time, and new features will be implemented during the time. At first during for our development part of the infrastructure, and later deployed to the production. So if you want to use the eLTER services, you have to have an identity inside the eLTER, so that there's a need for registration and login. We are supporting so maybe you know EduGain and single sign-on, meaning that you sign to a single service, and then your identity comes through the services around. This means that this means that you can visit any eLTER service, for example, the DAR, and if you try to log in and you have no identity yet, then you are forwarded to create an application for eLTER to an application form, so that you, for example, access the DAR at this URL. You select that you want to sign in via eLTER AI, eLTER authorization, accounting, and services identity. You select your home institution and you log in, and if you have already an account, you are directly connected to the service and logged in. If you haven't, you are forwarded to the application that will later be approved, and then you will be able to provide your data and to have the identity inside eLTER. Next, you visit, and I will once I can show directly, so that we'll go through the process. So here I am at the DAR eLTER-RI. I can also visit the portal if you if you don't mind. And here are the services and are the descriptions of all the services. But if I want to visit directly the DAR service, I want to log in, meaning that if I try to log in, we are currently supporting some internal accounts. These are for service reasons. You should go via the eLTER AI login, so that once you log in, yeah, it remembers me. So sorry, I will go to the private window and repeat the steps, so that again I'll try to log in. And now you will be forwarded to the selection of your institution, so that you choose your home institution. I'm at Masaryk University, having an account here. I'll choose it. I'll fill the information regarding that. So I log into my home institution. I will pass, because we are using the multi-factor authentication. So I'll pass the one-time password. But this is just for the Masaryk University. So yeah. Yeah, and I'm currently logged into the DAR with my account that has already been approved via the application. Will be forwarded to the application if you go there for the first time. Okay, so now if you want to provide some data sets, you choose My Assets and Create Assets. So as I've shown you, I have a menu window here. I have my assets as a data provider. I have some assets that are in some state that I created before. And the most important link for you is the Create Asset button. Here you can choose and you start the data ingestion process, meaning that at first you will choose which asset type, which type of data you are going to provide. Then you click the create asset, and you are getting a form where you should fill your metadata information. Back to the slides. If you experience a permission denied page once you try to create a new asset, then because you will experience it once you log in, and you are not your identity is not given a permission to, because we are not automatically given the permissions to create new assets. So you will write us and we will improve the identity. Later, there will be a process, again, with application that you or your colleagues may want to be and data providers and data contributor. And once you have the rights to provide new assets, then the basic information is described here, that you select your asset type, you fill the form, and you submit the files that you selected. So we'll go through the form briefly right now, if I have some time. Yeah, hopefully yes. So I write some title, I write some names of the authors of the that are going to provide the data set, my affiliation, some organization ID, then doesn't matter. You can add your author IDs, for example. You can add the ORCID numbers or a researcher ID or Scopus or something like that. That's up to you. I can also remove if you don't want it to have it there. Again, the responsible organization. You can also provide some email. Again, some organization ID if you want to provide it, and based on and we would be glad. The point worth to mention is we would be glad if you provide as much information as possible, so that the data sets are filled with the data. Here you have to provide an abstract that is at least 200 of characters long, so I will use just this. Here you select your site. You will choose This is interconnected with names that you probably know that you have your sites registered there. So you will choose just the based on the full search the name of the site and the identifier that is taken from the names directly. Regarding the locations, you can either provide here, which is a point here with some longitude and latitude coordinates and describe the location, or you can add a different types of location, like again another point, bounding box, polygon, or you can choose Dame's location. This is quite important that if you have the not only site registered there in Dames, but also the locations, we can again using the full text search. You can choose the location that is where the data set has been collected. Here we are going to improve this process. This is a very first and basic version, but we will improve the process so that you will see just the locations of the site that you have created, you have selected before. You should provide keywords for the data set, at least one, but and also if possible, you should also provide a link to the vocabulary that describes the keyword, so that international community understands what's the keyword meaning. You can obviously add another keywords using this button and add something more. The temporal coverage, so that you select the dates that are related to your data set. You may provide some temporal resolution optionally. License which describes and which under which you want to provide your data set. Yes, select the data level and the standard observation habitat if it's and also provide some information about the instruments, projects, contributors, and so on. Once you click next, you are provided, or I can go back and don't provide some information, like for example my given name. I want to show you that if you do something wrong, the form informs you that, hey, there's a problem and you have to solve it somehow. So that now we should be okay. And in the last step, you select either by drag and drop, or select by clicking select some files that you want to provide. For example, I choose this simple PDF file. Very last step is to start the quality checks. As I mentioned, currently the quality checks are just checking the metadata information, and once the asset that you have provided is accepted, then you will have the button to publish the record available. I can show you the record that I created some time ago, so that currently you can see in the list of the records that there's something running here, the quality checks, but we can see the data set that I've created some time ago. And now, as the quality check has been accepted, has succeeded, and you can see here the log information, for example, about what happened during the quality check-in, and if something went wrong, you will see information here. But also here you can do and click the publish button, or edit again the record if you want. So just to summarize briefly, this is a very initial version of the Digital Asset Registry. In terms of the form, please be patient, because this is quite a we know that there could be some improvements related to, for example, user experience, like more comfortable provisioning of some information, user profiles, autofill, metadata templates, and so on. That could be improved, but this is an ongoing process, and we have the first version deployed. So the very last slide goes through the publishing procedure, meaning that every data set needs to pass the quality checks. Then you should wait for it. Once passed, you can hit the publish button to make it public. And if you hit the publish button, then there's an approval process that people behind approve your publishment. That's all for me, and I'm open for your questions.
I can maybe just start to comment here. Thanks a lot, Tom. Or maybe Clemena goes first because.
Sorry.
Thank you for the presentation, Tom. It's really good to see work going forward. So I have a few questions. First one is, of course, can we already test it?
Yes, if I can directly answer, yes, it's in I would say in the semi-production deployment, and you can test it. You can AI should work, and if you experience some problems with AI, meaning that it can happen because some identity providers do not trust the new identity managers and identity infrastructures, let us know. Most of the institutes should work because we are in a domain, but some of them may not, and in this case, let us know.
The second question I had is about documentation, in particular about vocabularies. And the third question is whether we will be able to upload metadata as well as files and not just entering it, because if we have already metadata in some database, it makes sense to extract a CSV or something.
Yes,
my part, Clemena. I will talk about this now.
Yes, I just briefly. Yes, we want to support data ingestion via API. Currently, it's not there, but it's prepared for it, and it should be there in close weeks. Because the API services are there already contacted from the form. So yes, if you have to just follow the schema of eLTER, so that if you deploy and you do some export from your system, then you can do so. And regarding documentation, I can just show you the very basic page that we have created for the data ingestion. But there will be other documentation that Holger is going to speak about, and we will provide you as well once we internally comment it, and for example, either share with you or provide you with via some document or something like that.
Very impressive. Thank you.
Thanks. I think I also see some questions in the chat. I think it would be best to move on to Holger because he also wants to present. And then we take the rest of the questions in the end, if that's okay.
Maybe a good idea. Maybe a few things will be clarified along the way.
Exactly.
I just wanted to also mention here that, yes, we present this to you here. This presentation will be on YouTube, I assume. You can rewatch it, but we are also there for you throughout 2025. So this is really not just your only chance to ask questions and to discuss this. We want to run you through the process of your first ingestion of data and be there for you in case there's more questions coming up in the months ahead.
You can also use chat for the questions, and now Tom can listen and answer at the same time, I suppose.
Okay, then I think I have to rush a little bit through it, but we just get going. So now you have learned a little bit more about how to ingest data. I want to now show you in detail what you are supposed to ingest. So I will dig more into the data templates, into basically our schedule ahead, how we are planning to run sort of the data mobilization task in the months ahead. So maybe Tom, if you stop sharing, I can take over, and I'm planning to share my screen, so I will move a little bit between presentation and browser today. So probably now you can maybe tell me if I talk about things you don't see. So
Sure.
okay. Super. Let's do this page. 1 sec. Move everything over. have to share the second screen. See full screen now?
Yes.
The presentation, okay. Yeah, first and foremost, I have to highlight here that this is not only myself working on the data mobilization task, but we have a whole virtual access coordination team behind this. So this is Tom, this is Martin for the cyber infrastructure part. Then we have Teresa and James who are responsible for the SO protocols that tie nicely into the data that we want to mobilize. We have Alan who greatly supports the more like coordination here with you, with the applicants. We have Katarina, who is responsible for the administration as well. And I forgot something now from the VA team, I'm sorry, but we are quite a big team. Johannes, of course, and Alessandro also responsible for metadata and everything basically that ties into data work. So we are a big team. It's not only myself presenting, even though it's the, I think, third time I'm talking about this task now, but there's many people behind it. So yeah, quick reminder, I think I will skip over this fairly quick about the timeline and where we are right now. We launched the whole marketplace with the data call embedded in that already in September last year. Now we moved forward, preparing the data call and the data mobilization week, which will come up now at the end of January. And the whole project, I think is most important, runs until the end of October. So this whole data call, data mobilization task where the applicants are partnering. So going a little bit more into detail, we are currently working on agreements and contracts. Katarina has most likely reached out to everyone who has applied to be part of this data call and the data mobilization task. We should have received agreements and contracts. We are having the SPF seminar today, filling you in about the sort of plans ahead and the details. Then mark your calendars. From the 27th onwards, we have a data mobilization week scheduled. I will share with you in a minute the Termino, where you can book time slots to meet with myself and Alan, but we can also tie in the virtual access coordination team, which I mentioned now. So if there are specific questions, it's important that you share them with us. And we actually also, and thanks Jimena for your comment in the last SPF seminar, we plan a midterm validation and tie in a second, probably data mobilization week somewhere in April, May this year. So we can regroup with everyone who has been or who is participating in the data call. And we can really, again, have something similar scheduled, which will come up at the end of January now. And again, end of October is when we should finish up at least a couple of data uploads. Also, just quickly, because I will show you more in detail how the templates look like. These are the core data types aligned with standard observation protocols that we are planning to mobilize. So it's really covering all spheres with the exception of the social sphere. But as actually one thing that I want to quickly mention here is maybe other data. We know from the data call outcome and from the expressions of interest we received that there is other data or interest from some sites to mobilize other data as well. And this will be taken up during the process. Especially we can start to discuss this in the data mobilization week with you individually, but we will try, of course, also to tie this other data into existing standard observation protocols. So we might have to develop some new data templates for that, which might take a little longer than for the sort of established data types that we already identified in line of the standard observation protocols, but it's still something that we really take serious and we want to provide a service for everyone who offered other data here as well. Yeah, just a quick reminder that we actually got a little bit overwhelmed by the amount of applicants that wanted to be part of this data call. So we really are like quite surprised, or not surprised, but we are positively surprised, but also a little bit overwhelmed. And we need to see where this is going, which ties nicely into this slide. You should all see yourself in the guinea pig a little bit. So really keep in mind, this is a pilot and it might become a little bit rough out there in the next months ahead. So we want to make this work. We are really working on robust workflows, but we need to take it a little bit learning by doing, right? We might have to work on our metadata formats. We might have to tweak the data templates here and there a little bit, but it's really important that we start working with the sites and the platforms on their specific data needs. And then we basically develop our portfolio along the way. So keep this picture a little bit in mind for the next months ahead. It might not always be a smooth ride, so there might be some problems coming up, but I think we are a strong team. We will be able to solve them. field specifications and the data templates. Now I go a little bit more into detail, but I will also show you examples. The templates are available, at least the first set of templates are available on the wiki page. Maybe, Teresa, you can put the link to the wiki page in the chat that we established for the data call. If you can't access the wiki right now because of login problems, don't worry. I will send a general email to all the applicants from the data call after this meeting, latest until the end of this week, where we will put all the information in, the link to the Termino where you can put your time, the data templates will be in there. We can probably also put the handbook for the data upload in there, which runs you step by step through the process of the ingest portal that Tom presented, and so on and so on. So you will have all the information later on as well. But the data templates will be split in 3 sort of subsets of CSVs, which are packaged in zip folders. One is referring to actually the station reference, which is nicely tied into all the information that's hopefully, until we mobilize data from all the sites, on DAMS. Then there is a file that also goes a little bit into the question that Femina asked, where you can provide in-depth and detailed information on the methods used per specific variable that you want to provide. And then there is the actual data file. So these templates will be available or are currently already available. A couple will be added in the coming hours and days. For the rest of the ones that are still missing, we had some technical difficulties yesterday to put them on the wiki, but I think we solved them now. And yeah, you can then take a look at it. We can discuss them together in the time slots that you can book them throughout the year ahead. So yes, they are based on the field specifications. I put the link to the Synodo in the presentation here again to make you aware that, again, this is a pilot. Your data and its legacy data might look a little bit different. There are some additional metadata fields that you feel are absolutely necessary for your data. Then use this eLTER field specifications established by Sarah and Johannes already in 2020 as your reference to add additional fields. Use that as your template to get some ideas on how you could maybe elaborate on the metadata that we provide in the standardized templates for the SOs. So this is why the link is here, and it's really important. One actually tool I would recommend everyone who will work with the data in the future is Notepad++. I think it's very powerful, especially for large data sets. If you look at high frequency data that sometimes is more than 1 gigabyte from some logger systems covering several years. If you use, for example, Excel as your software tool, it might crash with 1 gigabyte of data. So maybe download that. It's open source and it's very powerful. You can format a lot of things. It's a very good tool to really hands-on work with data and metadata, or maybe formatting, especially of your data. So I actually highly recommend to use it, at least to have it in your portfolio of software that you could apply to work with your data. And then, as Tom presented, the ingest portal is up and running. For the creating new assets, we have a workflow now discussed and established that you register your on university organizational login via AAI, but then you still need the second step approval by the virtual access coordination team to be able to upload assets, new assets, and that email needs to come to myself. So you will request basically to me, please add me as a contributor to data uploads, and then I will communicate this with Mooney and Tom's team, and we make sure that you have the possibility to upload data. But this will all be explained in an email coming to you in the next days. And then the data mobilization week. So that's scheduled 27th onwards. I will share the link, or Teresa can share the link to the Termino in a second when I'm sharing the browser as well, where you can really book time slots. And again, we want to make this as simple and easy as possible. Might be desperate, but I think we will make it work for everyone. And it should be really a learning experience for all of us to be able to upload data from various stations, various platforms coming from this infrastructure, and various data types as well. And this is something where SLU Help Desk is again mentioned here, because this is something that will run throughout 2025 into 2026 beyond. We will see how it develops. How much time do I have? I don't see any. Oh yeah, 10 minutes, maybe I run a little bit through this. We don't have to go through all the details because this is something that you can look in the slides up and make yourself aware of all the formatting that we would request, especially when it comes to the time series data. We have established a standard for the file name. We are aiming for long format data. We can discuss this in detail with individual sites, what that means. All the templates are encoded UTF-8. We don't have to discuss this in depth, but this is a very good encoding format that is commonly used, and that's what we're aiming for. All the templates should already be adjusted to that. So you don't have to worry too much about it. Then we are aiming for comma-separated data, file extension CSV, but also tabs and text files are possible. Column separator, should there be comma and semicolon? Notepad++ is very powerful to help you to adjust to all these formats, by the way. Then we package the data in a zip folder. And then we upload it in the Data Ingest Portal. Basically drag and drop what Tom showed in the second last step of this presentation. And the decimal separator for the data should be dot. But again, if you keep it the same throughout your data, we can discuss this and help you with formatting as well later on. I think I will quickly run through this and then we can go to the Termino, Teresa. So data mobilization, we mentioned already. I think within the Termino, there are around 30 time slots you can book. Maybe this is too few. So we potentially can extend to like the week after or the first week of February if there is some individual requests as well of like time limitations. So we can discuss this via email then as well. Just reach out to me and maybe request a separate time slot. Yeah, and these are there to discuss with especially Ellen and myself. So Ellen and myself will be present in all these meetings, but we can add on individuals from the virtual access coordination team, as mentioned before, to support you with metadata and data formatting. Here I would definitely see Alessandro and Johannes involved. And technical questions is definitely Martin and Tom. Introduction to the data registration and ingest portal, Tom would be super there as well, obviously, but Ellen and myself also are quite aware of the services. And then can be administrative questions as well. Katarina can join these meetings or something related to the protocols, the standard observation protocols, then it would be Teresa and James. And what I would ask you to do is register one time slot per, sorry, I have to rearrange here now a little bit, one time slot per registration for you. And move this over. Can you see the browser now? Yeah. So you should see the Termino now. That's probably now also in the chat, Teresa. Yes, no?
Yeah, I posted it earlier and now Ellen posted it again.
Perfect. So you can, best case scenario, you choose one time slot. All the times are in CET. If you have specific questions, just reach out to me. My email is listed up here. You can put a comment directly into your booking and state something along the lines, I would need specific support to understand my metadata a bit better. If you don't want this to be posted here as a comment because it will be publicly visible for everyone who registers something in Termino, just again, send me an email. That's no problem and we can discuss it. Again, also we can add week 6 in case you feel like that these time slots are not working for you. Remember to move over to the right side and then we take it from there. We will send you calendar bookings and Zoom links then that's along the line, basically continuously. When we see someone registers a time slot here, then we send you a link. Any questions about the Termino now, Teresa? Or I think that's clear, right? We will send this out with an email and it should be one time slot again per applicant and then we'll take it step by step.
Yeah.
Maybe you can also put this link here in the chat for the wiki page. This is the wiki page related to, I can maybe increase it a little bit, to the data call that was published on the marketplace as well. So the most of the content is identical with what it was mentioned in the data call or listed in the data call. But at the very top end of the page, there is now data templates available. We have the ones for the meteorological data, vegetation and soil temperature. But the other ones will come in the coming days until the end of the week. So you can basically directly access these zip folders. The file name for the zip folders already standardized to the extent we can do it. And there are 3 files in each of these templates that are related to data. I will start with the station. I think that's better. Is it large enough? Can you see the content here a little bit? And again, just look into it.
Yes, it's fine.
Yourself, and we can then discuss the details a little bit more in personal meetings or in individual meetings. So there's one template related to the station. We all, of course, ask you to register your DAMS ID or your site or platform on DAMS. Christoph, I think, is present in this meeting, maybe here as well. He is the main contact responsible for DAMS, but there is a super manual available. Maybe, Martin, you're sitting on the link for that, and you can put it in the chat as well. How to register a new site on DAMS is really straightforward. And then, as you saw already by Tom's presentation, it's automatically embedded into your ingestion process. So you can basically just type in the name of your station and add it as a metadata field. Then there are some individual more fields that I don't want to go through all the individual fields right now, but you can maybe look up yourself and reach out if you have questions. Then there's an extra file, again, also Cremena for you for the method description. So we open up, of course, also to people who have that already compiled in a system to export it as a CSV, and then you can add your description as a text, standardized text to a specific variable that is related to your data that you want to mobilize. And then there's the data file. Again, we aim for long format, where you will still, again, have the reference to your station, but then we ask you for a list of variables, standardized timestamp, your values, and the related unit, and all the information is basically provided on what is expected from you in the parameter and column info per each individual column that is then starting here. So your data basically will be added on the bottom here.